Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions Podcast, episode 275. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friends and co-hosts, Case, the Riz, the whole gang. We're all here. How's it going, boys?
It's good. We've got to come up with a joke this week, so we'll just let it go.
That's probably for the best.
All right, we got a false positive on the joke. There you go. All right, in today's show, we got a couple of sick cats to talk about again. We got another opt-out to add to the list, a signing for the team to bolster the defensive line. We're going to talk about the schedule, what might happen with that, and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Case, are you ready to go, my man?
I sure as hell am.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Couple of quick announcements. First, check us out and help us out on the Patreon. Special thanks to Dylan from... Wow! Very nice, very nice. Also, our very first owner, Mathis, and Brian B. from I Prevail, iprevailband.com. Check them out. Great music. Expect to see them on tour in 2021, I would guess, at this point. And they'll be making music, though. You look for it. They do some cool stuff. Love it. Good stuff. You can join the crew, including the Riz and Case and I and Mathis and Dylan and Brian and everybody. Everybody cool is there. It's on the Slack. You get access to that by joining us on Patreon. As little as $1 a month will get you access to the Patreon, where the football talk has no peer, nor does the beer talk or the barbecue talk on those channels. But it's a great little place to hang out. Most intelligent chat on the internet, and I am not telling a lie, I promise when I say that. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Join and get access and have fun with us. Also, give us a like on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast, Facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast, and on the Twitter machine at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, the very best place to see Case.
With no pants on.
That's the best way, of course. Throwback to that Zen interview. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, youtube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Maybe that's why we're not getting so many players anymore, Case, after the underwear interview. Oh, we'll think about it. All right, rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the great places.
I love Zach Center.
Give us a review. 5-star reviews. Remember, those are forever. If you have anything less than 5 stars, head on over to the subreddit. Let us know what you think. We're happy to talk about it and make the show better. It is the community show. You are a part owner, and your investment makes this a better show. All right. Give us a call via Skype. Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word. Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. You can leave a message and hear yourself on the show, or you can call us live while we do this, because it's a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Tighten your chin straps, kids. It's time to review This Week in Reddit.
All right, it's time to talk about all the fun and exciting things going down this week in Reddit. And we're going to start off, much like we did last week, with the COVID cats TM list. Got a couple Lions who have the sick right now and are on the reserve list. So we're going to go through that really quick. There's a couple have popped on and off. So I'm just going to call them out along the way. Isaac Nada is on and off. He is now off the list and back into place. We had a great report about Nada. I don't want to say his name, but he did win the stake when we did the St. Jude auction when we went to Roos Chris, guys. Remember last year? About a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was hanging out, and Nada was there and a couple other guys. And he said he's absolutely not surprised that Nada had the sick, because he just walked in, hung out for a few, picked the most dashing, wonderful woman in the place and walked out with her. Kind of a good life. All right, Justin Coleman.
That was a good night.
Yeah. That's a Tuesday for Mr. Nada, lucky guy. Justin Coleman, he is on the list and off the list as well. He's got his negative testing. He's back in the team. We've got Galladay still on the list. Hawkinson still on the list. Aaron, the Bomb Sipos. God, I keep messing that up.
Sipos. I've heard both. I actually went and watched a St. Kilda match when he played professionally, when he played footy in Australia. Mm-hmm. And they said it differently twice, so I don't know who the hell to believe.
I have his pronunciation guide, and I lost it, so I have to get that back on my list, because I'm trying to help myself. I think
it's Sipos,
yeah.
But I'm not positive.
I think too. Jalen Elliott is out. Amani Arawarriye is out.
You did good saying that.
Thank you. And Matthew Stafford, new addition to the COVID list. This one's a big one, guys. I don't know how the team can actually. Just coming in on the Lions news line. What do we find out? False positive. Matthew Stafford is still on the team. He'll be able to practice. He got 2 negative tests right away. His family was tested. I want to go to the...
Kelly is pissed. I'm looking at her statement right now.
Let me get the official statement here.
She is not happy.
Okay, yeah. Bring that. You bring that in a second. The statement from the Lions is, today we removed Matthew Stafford from the COVID IR list and on to active roster. As a result of a false positive test result, he was forced due to NFL and NFLPA protocols to sit out until he received 2 negative tests. His testing sequence for the pre-entry period was negative, false positive. The next 3 tests were all negative. So to be clear, Matthew does not have COVID-19 and never has had COVID-19. And the test in question was a false positive. Also, all of Matthew's family has been tested and everyone is negative. Now, with that being said, Case, tell us how Kelly is negative right now.
Well, she is livid. Up on her Instagram, she's got the past 4 days have been somewhat of a nightmare. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's the preamble. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she says she blames the NFL for not holding themselves accountable. I don't fully understand why. Is it the NFL's fault that there was a false positive? I'm not exactly sure where her anger at the NFL is coming from, other than, I'm sure it's an incredibly stressful situation to be under, and sometimes under those situations it's difficult to figure out exactly.
They had to get all their little kids. They got 4 little girls. Yeah. They had to get all of them tested for
Yeah,
COVID.
no, incredibly stressful, and
awful.
not letting their kids go back to school. It's not that I don't understand how she could be upset.
Right.
I'm just not. I'm not 100% sure why that would be directed at the NFL as opposed to just sucks that there was a false positive. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's more on the drug lab or whoever processed it, and apparently the false positive rate is I think higher than any of us would be comfortable talking about, from what I gather.
I think like anything, you want early indicators if you have it, right? I think early treatment is helpful. From what I've heard, although I'm not a doctor, so I can't say specifically, but I've heard getting treatment early and attacking it early is helpful. I kind of feel like, have you got tested once, right, Riz?
I did.
Yeah, and
I also did.
Oh, you both did. Okay, I've not. I've just not.
It's not fun. It's really not fun at all.
It's not.
They did Did they do the nasal one on you, Jeff?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah, I was requesting the rectal
thing, but
yeah. She seemed to really enjoy it too.
It was mine's first time.
That's the same thing when they gave me the rectal one. They seemed to really enjoy that.
We were COVID virgins together, and
so the fact that you're tested right away gives you a leg up on the folks that weren't, right? And so her and the family were tested with the kids. Uncomfortable, yeah, terrible, or traumatizing experience for sure. Right. Case, have you done or Riz, you're old enough, I think. Have you done your yearly man check yet?
So, thankfully,
there's a story here.
About 6 weeks before I turned 40, the whatever the ADA or whatever it is recommended that the move the age from 40 to 50, and my doctor bought in right away. So I haven't had it yet. I'm not 50 yet.
Okay. Yeah.
I got lucky.
Just checking.
Chris, how about you?
Nope, not been there yet. Not 50 yet. Thank you very much. Riz has had, he's been in the hospital for a couple other things, including the life-saving piece that he had. I just figured while they were there, they might check out back, make sure the exhaust is working too.
I've had a camera shoved in through my groin. That's not pleasant either, but it didn't go up that hole.
See, if you're gonna make a guess, Riz is where you're gonna put your money on this stuff. No, I don't know.
From that.
That's unpleasant too. I imagine, right? I mean, you think about it and it's unpleasant. I've like we said, not done it, but I figure the up the nose is probably. I know. I just feel like that's not as pleasant or not as unpleasant as the monthly man test. So, I don't know. I like Kay said, I don't know how she's upset with the NFL. That's the key piece. No. They had extra testing. I'll say this: and care,
the way that the Lions, how emphatic the Lions were that it was a negative, it was a false positive test, and what they said in it was, to me, I interpret that as a statement to Kelly, like, hey. We understand. We are making it very clear that y'all are not sick, and everybody will know it. The veracity of their statement was far beyond what they needed to do. And I think that was very deliberate on the Lions' part.
Yeah, and Logan makes a point in the chat right now that he's sure her issue is less that a false positive occurred and more that it was released to the public before confirming, which I think makes sense on one hand, but on the other hand, I think that's the NFL's kind of rule set. They do
procedurally have to put him on the COVID list even if a false positive comes up. The same thing happened in Cleveland with Jamie Gillan, the Scottish Hammer, their punter. He had actually had COVID documented earlier in July, got to camp, had 2 days where he tested negative, actually tested positive for the antibodies, and he had a false positive test on Friday as well. They quickly cleared that up, and he was activated on Saturday, and he was activated Sunday. Yeah. So that is going around, but they do procedure-wise, anytime there's any positive test, false or otherwise, they're going on the list.
Yeah, I saw him at a wedding in Long Island, and I didn't see a whole lot of mask action going on, so I was nervous when I saw the COVID thing. I was like, oh, man, Long Island is one of those places over there. Aaron's
I think this whole thing is just please, Kelly, don't let him opt out.
Yeah, please. Whatever you say, we're mad too. Aaron asks, would I take the rectal one if Amendola delivered it? Nasal rectal, it doesn't matter. Amendola's there. I'm in. He's my guy. All right, let's talk about.
He's your Brady Quinn.
Yeah, he really is. That guy is just incredible. Just incredible. A very, very handsome man for sure. All right, so Nada's off, Coleman's off, Stafford had a false positive. This feels good. I want to see Galladay. I want to see Arouarier back. I want to see them all back, really. But I feel like we're in a certain way, we're in a lot better case than a lot of the other teams in the NFL at this point.
We are doing okay. It's nice that they're coming back. It's nice that we got starters back. That's very good.
Yeah. Now, you think about it, though. The one thing, and God, this is terrible, right? You start to think about these guys as chess pieces less than people sometimes, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. So please bear with. But if you have a thing where Matthew Stafford did have COVID, you're like, okay, that sucks, right? You don't want him to have COVID. You don't want anybody to have COVID. So straight up. But if you're going to get it, and I have a feeling a lot of guys are probably going to get it as this year goes on.
We have not seen the end of this.
Yeah.
No.
It seems like now would be the time for a healthy guy to go through it with a healthy outcome in the end and just be done and then be able to play football, right? Which is very, very selfish as a fan. I totally recognize that. But God, a player like Stafford, there's some conversations we had in the Slack, Riz, about teams kind of stashing quarterbacks in different ways. Why don't you expound on that a little bit here, just so people can kind of get thinking about that?
Yeah, so there are two schools of thought with it. One is that a team would quarantine its own quarterbacks away from the rest of the team, so they even if somebody else on the team got infected, that they would be isolated and practicing on their own. The other school of thought, and this is more the road that you're going down, Chris, is that they would find a quarterback who's a current free agent and be like, "Hey, dude, go quarantine yourself. We're going to call you. We're going to hire you. Keep yourself clean. Stay away from everybody. Learn our playbook and come in." There's been a lot of people on a lot of different teams that want that to happen.
Yeah.
Thus far, that's been pretty summarily shot down by the NFL. But there are, arguably the best quarterback on the free agent market right now is Drew Stanton. He's terrible. So you're not exactly getting great, but it's better than, I don't know, an undrafted free agent, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that's something that the Lions want to do. Or any of the Patriot Way teams are doing. They've all pretty soundly shut that down.
Does this create a world where a backup quarterback could demand an ungodly high price in the middle of the season because of the status of, so
Chase Daniel already got that.
Yeah, he kind of set the bar, didn't he? But you're thinking it's October and you don't have a quarterback. And Drew Stanton's sitting there. He's the best one available. I'm thinking that if I'm Drew, I can command a lot of money before I put myself in the situation where I'm on the field with a bunch of guys who might have COVID.
Right. And you're seeing it now with a lot of free agents. There's a lot of talk that Snacks Harrison is going to get a lot of money when he comes back. Well, there's absolutely zero incentive for him to sign now because that price tag is only going to keep going up as more and more teams get positive tests and lose guys to opting out or injury or whatever.
I feel like he's a little bit of a high risk.
It doesn't behoove any of these guys to sign anywhere now. This goes back to our conversation last week, Chris. Free agents aren't signing now, not because of lack of interest from the Lions. It's on their part. There's no reason to sign now. They'll be lowballing themselves if they sign now.
Yeah, and Snacks is going to be an interesting one again because number one, I think just being Snacks and living with little Debbie all the time, he's I think at a little bit more of a risk, like we see with the offensive linemen and defensive linemen, right? Closer together, proximity, larger bodies type, right?
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. And I
suspect we'll see more offensive and defensive linemen opt out over the next few days than we will any other position groups.
Yep.
Yeah, they have until Thursday at 4:00.
Yep.
That deadline got set today.
Which, can I just say that I think this is a silver lining, obviously, but having the two rookies and overall a very young offensive line, I think this year is an advantage that it wouldn't necessarily have always been because you don't necessarily. I would usually prefer to have veterans on the offensive line than guys who are, 1, 2, 3 years into the league. But under the circumstances, I feel like those guys are less likely to opt out.
So you're going to have a generally younger set of offensive linemen across the board. And if that's the case, the Lions are better prepared.
It may not matter at all, but when I was just tracing it in my mind, you're talking about minor advantage.
You're talking about from a sitting out standpoint or opting out standpoint and not necessarily an on the field standpoint.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yep. So all that's going on. Anyway, and the other part with Snacks is he just didn't perform at his peak last year. And after this quarantine and the lack of workouts, you really do want to get that workout and that physical on him before you sign him to a major deal. So that Snacks thing is an absolute wild card deal in the making for whoever tries to sign him. All right, let's talk about, Case, you want to talk a little bit about the difference between the reserve list and the opt-out list? This is probably
well, I don't think we have to go too far into it. It's just been it's been basically every thread I've seen on Reddit where somebody says this player is put on the COVID list, where half the people in the thread misunderstand that to mean,
oh my God, they're opting out.
They're opting out. Right. There is a difference. They're two very distinctly different things. Just if that's news to you, I'd be surprised, because I think most of the people who listen to this probably already know that. But just because you, like Stafford, went on the list because of a, at the time, theoretically positive test, Justin Coleman and several other guys, they all went on the list, but that does not mean they're not playing this year. That just means that they were on the watch.
Yes.
Right.
And then
just in case you're still freaking out about thinking that Stafford was opting out, that's not where we are. Not to say that's an impossibility. The opt-out date got moved to this Thursday at 4:00. So we'll know a lot more in the next couple days here, who is or isn't planning to play this year.
And one of the things that's going to come with that is don't necessarily fall for reports. The NFL is required to publish a transaction list every day at 4:00. All of us who are in the PFWA have access to it. We check it at 4:00. You better believe I'm on there, as is everybody else in Lions land. It'll show up on there. And if it's not on there, it means it hasn't happened yet. So be careful about Photoshops from CBS and reports from interesting people that you've never heard of before.
It's all fake news, except for Lions Wire and the Detroit Lions podcast. All right, there you go. All right, so we do have a new opt-out. And I want to talk a little bit about the opt-out piece, Riz, because we did touch on it last week. John Atkins, Geronimo Allison is the new opt-out this year, the former Packer wide receiver. I want to talk about the strategy for opting out, okay? Because basically the situation is their contract tolls, so it's as if it never happened, right? It freezes in time and then picks up next year. Now, what could happen is they could get cut. They could get cut between now and next year, right? And then that means they were just cut, and then they never played, and that was that. I think this situation here is yep, it's coming up in the chat. It's good for Quintez. It's good for a lot of the guys. Is this a case? And I don't know if it's a case for Geronimo, but I think we might find this a little prevalent in the league this year. Someone who might think they're on the bubble and might not make the team can sit and spend a year working and trying to get better. Now, the older guys, right, when you're pushing the far side of 30, maybe that's not the good plan. Maybe you want to get your years and your money in while you can. But if you're thinking about a guy who's in his mid-late 20s, who's a bubble kind of guy, it might make sense for him to do this opt-out for a year and take his contract and try to improve, or take himself and try to improve over this year. Any other strategic thinking like that, Riz, that you would find for the opt-out?
So one of the things that I think a lot of people misunderstand is that they are going to get paid the $150,000, but it's not you're being paid that to go away. It is an advance on your salary on your contract, which is not being honored. Like you said, it tolls. So Geronimo Allison is getting $150,000 of his 2021 salary on his 1-year contract with the Lions, because he doesn't have a contract for 2020. That's what happens when you opt out. If he doesn't make the team next year, he's got to pay that back. He doesn't just get to keep that. And also, there's some people were questioning about undrafted rookies doing it. Like, oh, I'm not going to make the team. I'll take my $150,000 and run. They're not eligible to get the money.
Yeah, and the thing is now, and this I guarantee this is going to come up next year. You're going to get a lot of cases where just let him keep the money, right? I mean, if we were willing to let Calvin walk with a whole bunch of bonus money, right?
If we weren't going to do it with Calvin, we're not going to do it with these guys. So,
well, I think it's going to create a little bit of rift between management and players. I think I have my Karnak kind of prediction is there will be a couple teams that have problems because they're not going to let those guys keep it, and it's going to just be. It's
a very realistic situation that Geronimo Allison does not play for the Detroit Lions in 2021, and they will indeed ask for his $150,000.
I hope Geronimo Allison doesn't play for the Lions in 2021. I hope our depth is better than him at that point, which is that I don't think he's very good to begin with. I'm not happy that he is not playing, because I like wide receiver depth is important. I'm not going to pretend that it's not, but he wasn't a lock to make the roster in my mind.
No, he wasn't.
Neither was Atkins. I mean, Atkins probably more likely, but just because there is we don't have a lot of defensive tackles. But
as Steve-O says, if it's only Atkins and Allison that opt out, the Lions are just fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's been some teams that have lost some
starters,
critical players today.
Hell, the Patriots, Jesus, what?
Oh man,
that's part of the plan. It's Belichick getting.
I'm not gonna say
Joey
whether
Lawrence.
or not I believe that's true or not, but I mean, it wouldn't be mind blowing if it was. So
he's gonna be forever Joey Lawrence in my mind. Whoa, what was that he said? Whoa,
whoa.
I don't know
Flashback
why.
to the 90s.
I don't know why. 90s kids
Remember those
know.
baggy pants that everybody wore?
How old are the people who watch this? Do any of them get that? Because I feel like I'm at the young end of people who
were you a 90s kid
reference. So yeah, I mean, I was born in 85.
Yeah, you should have been on the Joey world. Yeah. You know.
I remember.
Okay, don't play dumb. I'm not playing, Chris. All right, really quick, I want to talk about our friends over at Diamond CBD. They got some great products that I use and my family uses, and I got to tell you, they do really, really good stuff. I don't know if you guys have tried this yet, and I know I've promised to send you some. Case and Riz, I know you want some too. I will. I swear, this week or next, I've been going crazy with some other stuff here. This stuff is awesome. It doesn't. I know you're going to be bummed about this case. You don't get the high, but you get all the other effects of the.
High. I get all anxious. Shit.
Yeah, you don't get that. None of that happens. This is
anxiety
just
and
the kind of relaxing,
paranoid and
no, none of that. This is the relaxing kind of effect and the pain deadening effect, the analgesic effect. I tell you, this stuff is great. They got all kinds of stuff. I recommend, if you're not familiar with all this stuff, because they have a huge load of stuff over there, start with the gummies. These things are delicious. I don't know if I can get it to work. There you go. I just got your face right back. These are actually sour bears, but they have regular gummy bears and stuff. Start with those and figure out what dose works for you. That way, I mean, it's an inexpensive buy, and you can figure out what works and how it works for you, and then you can go into something like the oils, which come in here, and they wind up in one of these little bottles. And it's just a couple drops under the tongue. Bada boom, bada bing. Within minutes, you're starting to feel relief. Good stuff. Great for pain, workout relief, for get back in the action as quick as possible, and insomnia if you have problems sleeping. Head over to cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, and find out what the miracles of modern, I guess it's sort of medicine. The FDA and everybody else doesn't want to play this game yet, so it's ancient medicine. I guess we'll see the miracles of ancient medicine and see what happens. But good stuff. If you're interested, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. All right. We have a new signing on the team, Riz, and it has a throwback. I saw, he played the Senior Bowl in 2019, and I had to go back to my Senior Bowl notes that I had from the Elephant Walk because they're always enjoyable and illuminating, right? So I look up Dalen Mack, Texas A&M defensive lineman, 6'1", 327 pounds at the time. Had a hand that was not so small, over 10 inches, 10 1/8. I got to tell you, though, my notes are the best part. These are always the best part because you don't know who it is until you see the notes. I got him listed as Bubble Butt and Soft Dish.
Oh, my God. It is Sir Mix-a-Lot booty thick.
He's got that booty, right?
He has a massive, massive booty, and he's proud of it. Like he played at Texas A&M at 335 pounds, and 300 of it was in his ass. And that's
all he's got to do is get in the way.
For the rest.
No, it does not. He is. He's an interesting one. So I liked him quite a bit. He was a big time recruit at Texas A&M, sort of underachieved. Finally got it together when they switched coaches for the third time in his 4 years there.
Yep.
And he kicked butt at the Shrine game in 2019.
Yep.
Was the best player there. And I actually wrote it. And I put it in the Lions Wire that they should draft him. And now he's back. I also in that happened to say that they were going to take Ty Johnson too. If you saw that.
Look at that. You were really good with that. You had Ty Johnson. You had somebody else too.
I had John Duhart, who is no longer with us, but was an undrafted free agent last year. And they drafted his teammate Travis Fulgham, for better and for worse.
Who's just okay? Let's talk about Fulgham really quick because this came up in the Slack and you had a great answer. You don't really hear much about him. You see here, he's not quite there. He's not quite there. But nobody has a specific knock on him. What is it with Fulgham that makes him not a favorite for people, but not a guy that's running up the roster?
Yeah, if you're a backup or a guy that's fighting to prove yourself, you got to have like one thing that you hang your hat on. Like you either need to be really fast or really big or an exceptional special teams player or a punt returner or something like that. And he doesn't have any of that. He's nondescript, and it's tough to make a name for yourself when you don't have any one standout trait that you can rely on. Like Tom Kennedy this year and last year, he's tough as freaking nails. You never hear anybody have a superlative about Travis Fulgham. That's just the way he is. Unfortunately, he's a guy. Yeah.
And Case, I mean, you saw Fulgham last year at training camp. Anything memorable about?
Oh, no.
right. I'm thinking back. I mean, so I remember a couple of drops, right? Balls that were in his hands that he didn't hang on to, but it wasn't excessive or anything. It wasn't like Ebron level. He just seemed he just seemed not to be. I don't know.
There just wasn't a spark. And that happens more often than not with players who are taken where he was taken. And
in the fifth, sixth round.
It's not to be a surprise. You want to get excited about these guys, but if there isn't the spark, you just let it go.
All right.
So back to Mac.
Yep.
Return of the Mac here. He was a 5th round pick for Baltimore. He didn't necessarily fit in as well as they hoped with their scheme. He played behind Michael Pierce, who is now opted out of the Vikings as their free agent signing. Funny how the circle of life works there. Didn't play much at all. So when the Lions saw him at his best, which was at the Shrine game, where they spent a lot of time with him there, and he actually got promoted to the Senior Bowl the next week after that and also did very well there. He was playing end at 330 pounds, which is really, really, he projects in the A-Shawn role more than anything else.
Right.
As that 4I, 5T who is stout against the run, but can also, and he's a better pass rusher naturally than A-Shawn is. He's got some moves. He's got some slipperiness despite his rather prodigious posterior. That's the kind of guy that he is. I'm excited about it. I think he's very good for a 3-man line. I don't think he plays much in a 4-man line, but the depth chart, look at our depth chart on defense right now. Up front.
Yeah.
He's making the team, folks, especially after Atkins opted out.
Yeah.
He is no worse than the 4th best defensive lineman on the team right now, and they just picked him up off the street. That sort of tells you where the Lions defensive line is at, but it also tells you there is something there with him. I know the Lions liked him a lot last year. So it's a case of, they did claim him off waivers. They claimed his contract. So it wasn't like, they sought him out specifically. So
no,
I will be surprised if he's not only doesn't make the team, but I expect him to play.
I see Steve-O in the chat saying he went from 320 in college to 340. Now I had him at 327 in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Is that why the
Ravens had him at 331?
Okay. You think they're dumping him for weight, or is it just not a fit?
They are changing their defense a little bit. They are playing less of a 3-man they run a weird defense. It's hard to describe. It's sort of like the Lions in that they will have 4 guys down, but one of them generally isn't a lineman. They are moving more towards the traditional 4-3 front, except their fourth is going to stand up more now. It's kind of strange, but he doesn't necessarily fit that as well as he does a Belichick Crennel type of defense.
Sure.
He's better fit for that.
All right, Dalen Mack, he will play. It doesn't, I got to tell you, Riz, it never feels good to sign somebody on the 4th of August and find out that they're going to play. That's generally not, you're not signing your big groundbreaking
and that was a point that I tried to make people.
Bolton. That was fun.
Yeah, well, he was great.
Yeah. I was trying to make that point to people when Brian Winters got cut by the Jets. And everybody is instantly like, oh, there's a guard. Let's go get him. And I went on a rant on this in the Slack, and I'll let people check that out. But I will just say this. If you think that a guy that got cut from the worst offensive line in football last year, and it wasn't good enough to make their team this year, and they knew it already, if you think
That's
he's
how I
going
feel
to
about
help,
Geronimo Allison.
There you go. If you think he's going to help your team, you probably need to recalibrate your thoughts on the team.
That is very, very, very true.
Check the Slack for that. It's worth your Patreon dollar to go in and read the Slack just for that. Because I was pissed off. Because I got like 10 people on Twitter coming at me like, oh, it's time to go get him. Why aren't we getting him? And I recommended him to the Browns instead. And I gave reasons for that too. Much more fitting reasons. And
you're good for a rant like once a month, right? I mean, a good something stupid got on your skin.
As you know, I'm mild-mannered until I'm not.
Right. I'll never forget you leaning over the table at Chris Spooner on the Dan Marino thing.
Chris. I went off on his ass.
I felt so bad. He's just like, look, dude, I'm not that invested here. And you were like
I love
doubling
that guy
down.
Too. Chris Spooner, if you're listening, I love you, dude. You're a great guy. You're a good writer. I definitely respect your opinion. But man,
not on Dan Marino.
I went off, dude.
Brandon, for vet minimum, I would bring Ziggy back.
He's going to get more than that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's going to get more than that in San Francisco in about 10 minutes, from what I gather.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yep.
Stay on the field. I've nothing against him as a person. He was always a great person and always a great teammate, but just not on the field.
Yep.
So, and just for reference, he had more sacks than Jadeveon Clowney last year. For people who want Clowney.
Oh, that really puts a damper
in
on
300 less snaps.
There you go. All right, so let's move on. I do want to take just a quick moment and give a nod, a tip of the hat, or a hat on the chest kind of thing. Mention of Jamie Samuelson, who passed away. Had cancer, fought it, was only 49, I believe.
48,
which
is
just before.
Scary as hell, because that's what I'll be in a month.
Yeah. I met him once briefly, right? He'd never even recall me, but he was just a really nice, down-to-earth guy, respectful to everybody, right? Just a really, really cool cat. And it's sad to see when someone like that. I've often said that everybody I've met since we started doing this podcast has really been awesome. Everyone in the business, the reporters, everything. Just when you meet them in person, everybody is just so wonderful and kind and great to work with. I mean, even you saw what happened with Blandino, right? So anyway, hearts, thoughts, prayers out to the Samuelson family, and we wish you the very, very best. And really, really sorry to hear the news, and hope you guys do well and recover as quickly as possible. So.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. When you're 48, he's got young kids at home. That's rough, man. Like you, I only ever met him, and he wouldn't remember that he met me. We were sitting together as a group, and just everybody loved the guy. That's one of the things that you really pick up from it was how well liked he was within the business. There's a lot of people who will greet you with a smile and then throw a knife at your back on the way out. He was not like that at all, by all accounts. And I don't want to say that's rare, but it's rarer than it should be in this business. And that it's great that that's his legacy and that people are remembering him that way.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a real testament to who he was, how he's being remembered, right?
Yeah.
Just an interesting tidbit. I went down a little rabbit hole just now. Zeke had his worst year according to PFF. However, you decided to take that last year of his entire career.
Yeah.
So yeah, just okay. That's good. So the last thing, go get tested, right? That's why that whole man test thing is, because my wife is like, we want all the tests now, and I'm just like, hold on, let's let's pick and choose. We all, let's manage risk a little bit.
But he was a very big advocate for getting tested. Once he revealed that he was sick. And I know some of the people that are that have worked with him are now really hitting that very hard. Sean Belegian, a personal friend of mine who is a dear friend with Jamie, has been very big on that. If you have the resources, please go get tested. Please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm every time my wife yells about all the tests, I'm like, do you want to do couples colonoscopy? We got a big anniversary coming this year. She's not the date she's interested in. All right, moving on to the next thing, and look, you try to have fun with it, right? As much as you can. It's not a whole laughing thing, but you try to find places where you can smile and find comedy, and it's just what you have to do, because life can be a pretty terrible place otherwise. So, not making fun of the situation by any stretch of the imagination is just trying to find a way to find light and still encourage people to go do the right thing to take care of themselves. All right, let's talk about something that Case brought, not related to that, the possibility of restructuring the Lions' schedule this year. This is an interesting thought, Case, and not just the Lions, but the NFL as a whole. I'm assuming it's as a result of the sick that you wanted to talk about this, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen the other leagues restructure their schedule, and the NFL has been outwardly stubborn, but inwardly you have to think there are probably people on staff for the NFL who have created alternative seasons, alternative situations. You have to think that that's
risk management, right?
I mean, it would be irresponsible of them not to have done that. Not that the NFL has ever been irresponsible before, but
I don't know. I just saw Kelly.
But when it comes to the amount of money involved, you'd have to think that they have some contingency plan for if a true season isn't viable. And so the question then just is, what do you think those plans would look like? And is it like you're going to play all NFC North and AFC North teams are going to play each other this year, or just condense the number of teams that are that each team faces, condense the amount of travel that each team is going to have to do, things like that. And I don't know. That's just one theory that I've heard. I'm hoping, I remain, optimistic that they'll be able to pull off a regular season in a regular way with all the precautions necessary to do so. But I mean, it wouldn't be mind blowing if that just became not a reality. And I think a lot of people have taken that to the point of there's going to be no season this year. I've seen a lot of those comments on Reddit and wherever. I don't think that's true. I think that, yes, there is a possibility that it won't look like what we think it's going to look like right now, but there is going to be another plan in place. And it's interesting to me how tight-lipped the NFL is about that kind of thing, and they're notorious for being tight-lipped about things, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's in a way it feels like often that their communication style is as if they have insider information on some kind of stock, and they have privileged information that they can't share, right? I don't know that that's the case, because while it does have financial impact, I don't know if there's any kind of insider trades or anything, or anybody that can get an angle on that to better their position. So it's odd that they do act that way. Maybe it's just we don't want to spread panic kind of idea or something like that. But absolutely, they have to be game planning alternate scenarios for how to run this season if they have to shorten it up, because I think the worst case scenario is they play 6 games and then have to call the season with no champion, no nothing. It's like, why did we do this, right? They need closure on this season in some way, and I think they very quickly want to be able to probably get to some kind of playoff round robin thing, and maybe it's based strictly on divisional games or something like that. But they absolutely, if they're doing this season, if they have that first kickoff, they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna get closure on it, and that's what MLB's facing right now with all the teams that are getting the sick. They can't make up the games. They don't have the time to do that. How are they going to work this out to get closure on a season to help these teams that don't have time to play get in it and get through it?
Well, one of the issues with baseball is the weather. You can't play in Detroit or Cleveland in January. You just can't.
You probably could.
Although they do play in March, which is bad. It's actually worse. We get worse weather in March than we do in January in Michigan most of the time.
Would you rather play in Comerica Park in January or get a COVID test?
Oh, sign me up, man. My nose is open. So, I will be stunned if the NFL does not start the season on time. I don't think there's any way that they don't, quite honestly, outside of another weird natural disaster coming and striking us, which could very well happen.
Yeah.
You rule nothing out in 2020, but they are going to start. They will be playing on September 10th. I would bet my house on that. Will they be playing in December? Who knows? There's a lot of things that could happen. One of the things I think, one of the contingencies that they have, remember, this is a league that when players strike, they just brought in dudes off the street and played them. Who remembers the legacy of the scab players? Does the Washington Redskins championship that year have an asterisk by it? No, it does not. No, Dan, they only played 9 games, but
we talked to Dan. He there's no asterisk anywhere.
That's right. That's a championship for Dan.
Dan, right?
Yeah,
Dan,
man.
Right, it is.
They will find guys who can suit up. Will the quality of play be good? Hell no. It will not be close to the same. And the problem comes with, like, let's say the Chicago Bears' entire offensive and defensive line get quarantined and can't play, and they're bringing in dudes off the street, and they're playing Minnesota or they're playing Green Bay, which I think is the best defensive line in football. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I was thinking
the competitive impropriety there is going to be an issue, and I don't know how they will handle that. But I do think that they have that sort of contingency plan where they will go hell or high water to play every game that they can.
And I was thinking, like, even on a smaller scale, right? Okay, so some NFC North team has all off the street guards and tackles.
I mean, Chicago sort of had that last year, anyways.
Right, just on one side of the line, even, and all of a sudden you're facing Mac, right? That one guy can already change a game against top shelf players. If you get guys off the street, your quarterback's gonna get murdered, right? I mean, he's just gonna get destroyed. You have a couple guys go down on the line, and all of a sudden Mac lets loose, and it's over. It's like Habib in UFC, just ripping people to shreds, man. It's not going to be okay. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's where I think you're, like you said, the differential in the quality of the players could really have an effect, and even more so than just even a game score. Can you imagine turning Khalil Mack loose on a quarterback for a whole game because you can't stop him? That's a long-term type of injury situation, possibly. Right. You know,
imagine if your quarterback is an immobile guy too. You know, you're playing. You're Indianapolis with Phillip Rivers, who Chris, you could chase him down.
Right. Thanks, buddy.
That's going to be really bad news.
Well, I mean, right. I mean, if I'm Matt Patricia and I'm in that situation, I've got to line up against Mac with guys off the street. I'm like, you know what, Chase Daniel, that's why your name is that. Get out on the field. I'm not putting Matthew Stafford out there. Khalil's going to chase you all day long. Good luck.
Just a side note, Brandon, I think Cameron Wake might be the correct answer to your question. Follow up on the Ziggy thing, Jeff, do you see a situational pass rusher that would come somewhat cheap that the Lions might be interested in elsewhere other than Griffin or even Daniels?
I think the key word would be, do the Lions have interest in? No, they don't. They're happy with what they got.
I would agree with that.
I strongly disagree that they should feel that way, but they do. That's been made very clear. They are happy with what they've got.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
I feel like Cameron Wake's the only dude out there that could come cheap, that there would be any possibility of signing, but it's not. It's not
pretty barren out there, guys.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Hey, can we give credit to Case? I mean, he's out there. He's surfing the chat now. He's got this new laptop, and he's able to be
learning.
Like, he's able to do like all these different things now.
Laptop, Case? I'm so
I do.
I'm legit happy for
awesome.
you, dude.
It's a gaming laptop, even though I'm not much of a gamer, but like it was highly rated for doing just this kind of thing. So
sweet,
wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, you look great. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Another congratulations, Case. You've been moving today, haven't you? Oh God.
Yeah, I
was terrified about what I was scared.
Sorry, just trying to send everyone dick pics. No, I was trying to look at I couldn't remember. It's a Predator.
Wait, what are you talking about?
It's an Acer Predator.
Oh, the computer. Oh, okay. I thought you had a name for it.
Oh no!
A confluence of events here.
Oh, sorry, audio listeners.
I also just destroyed the myth of no pants. So.
Yeah, that was terrible. Oh, wow.
That was spectacular.
So congratulations on your move, Case. You've got a new place. You've got a new computer. You've got a new life ahead of you, huh?
Yeah.
And you hit the golden test.
Moved in with a girlfriend. Kat came over today, and she just took a dump in the litter box about 10 minutes ago. So
nice.
Like
you need a new Lions jersey. You've got an 81 behind you. You need a new one.
Yeah.
I know.
Get Case a couple drinks
on
tonight.
It.
He's going to be in that litter box.
I want to get
too.
a big flag to put up over there.
You watch. Case gets a couple drinks. He'll be in that litter box too tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, don't knock it till you've tried it.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it.
I may have tried it.
Did it clump?
Anyway, Truths and a Lie. Is that what we're playing right now?
Oh my!
Oh man! Any good news for you, Riz?
I'm just really, really busy and tired. I'll just leave it at that. I'm happy my kids are in fact going back to school. Fingers crossed that we stay in level 4 in West Michigan. My kids will be actually attending physical school, which I know is rare.
Yeah,
but that's a very good thing, I think.
Mine's
as long as the teachers are good with it, and they seem to be. We're doing with that. My son's going to high school football tonight. It's everything is sort of getting normal. I'm still dying to go see music. I can't wait to go see Brian and I Prevail.
I think I'm going to see Three Dog Night in November, assuming things actually work out. But
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
I'd go see anything. Right? I'd go see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Name random country act. I might even go see.
Yeah.
All right.
That's how I spend my free time, and it's gone. And I hate that, but I'm ready for football.
I'm ready for
let's play.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So we got a call, a really quick call. We're doing like personal reflection time. I got to do mine. I have my first interview Thursday for a new job within the company, which will eliminate a lot of the time sink, the frustration and outright anger I have with my current role. So wish me luck, and it's a promotion too. So wish me luck, guys. Wish me a lot of luck on here because I really need to.
Yeah, fine.
Good
luck.
Yeah, that would be nice. I gotta say one quick thing for people who are from Northeast Ohio who have ever been through there. R.I.P. Dick Goddard. If you know who he is, you know why it's important.
All right.
He was the best. He died today. Legend in Cleveland.
Really interesting. All right, we've got, and I know it. I've started watching the series now. We got a guy from Ozark on the phone. Lake of the Ozarks, I think. He's selling methamphetamine out of a rest stop over there. Brandon, how you doing, buddy?
All right. I thought that was Breaking Bad.
I don't know. I only saw the first 2 episodes so far. I'm just assuming what's about to happen.
I'm doing nothing but washing my money down here. You know, that's all we do down here in the Ozarks. Launder money. I mean, we do nothing else but party around Lake of the Ozarks, spreading around the disease. That's what we do for a living out here.
You guys watch. You guys laugh now, but when Brandon buys the Lions.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, listen, that'd be great. You bring us in, and we could launder money together and be,
Case.
teach us your ways. And
All right.
Make sure the washing is in Washington. You know,
Right. Right.
Listen, I know you guys want to close up pretty quick, so I'll just ask you this question. Lomas Brown was on Late Hits last night on Sirius XM, and they asked him what is the most pressing need or question about the Lions, and he mentioned, of course, being an O-line guy that he is, he says he thinks the most suspect thing is the offensive line with the defensive line behind it. Which one is it that you guys are most worried about? Is it offensive line or is it defensive line? I'll go ahead and let it go at that because I know you guys got to get going.
All right.
But anyway, take care. Come on down and get some clean money, baby.
All right.
Thanks, Brandon. Always good to hear from Brandon.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
I will say
that was good.
The most important need from that conversation is a Lions radio color analyst. But let's hand that off to Riz.
Oh man. Oh,
I might have an opinion there. Riz, what do you think? Offensive line or defensive line is the big need for the team? I'll tell you straight up.
Defense. I am defense. I like Trey Flowers a lot. I think Pennicini is going to be good. I do like Dalen Mack. I'm hopeful that Deshaun Hand can play more than 30 snaps without getting hurt. But beyond that defensive line is wretched, like worst in the league. Wretched. It's a massive problem for them. Now I understand that they are trying to build from the secondary forward, and I appreciate it. And I think the secondary is great, but that defensive line, even if everybody's like at their best, they are no better than 20th in the league at best, and that's very, very optimistic.
Right.
I won't argue with that.
Argue with it, Case. Come on.
The offensive line, we have to figure out who's playing guard. And spoiler alert, I will have something up at Lions Wire either tomorrow or Thursday on that.
Some of the
sorting
best
out the
Lions
9 people who are competing for the 4 spots on that. The tackles are fine. Well, they were fine. I'm not a big Hal Vitae fan. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't like the offensive line as much as I used to.
Halapalooty.
Yeah, but I think you were higher on Wagner than you should have been, so I'm taking you with a grain of salt.
Yeah, right. That's absolutely fair, Case. You're absolutely right. And the more I've watched Wagner, although he did play well against Dallas and Washington, I'm in the middle of the Bears Thanksgiving game now, and he played pretty well in that too. He did not have a good year, that's for sure. But I will just say this about Vitae: he gave up 4 pressures against the Lions last year.
That's mean on more than one level, Jeff. That's really mean.
Wow.
No, I'm with you though. I do in general have a higher opinion than I should of Rick Wagner's play in general. That's absolutely true. Won't fight that at all.
All right, I think that's fair.
But I mean, honestly, though, I don't disagree with you on either of those topics. It's a difficult situation for them to navigate this year, for sure.
I saw the Kelly Stafford. My wife texted me it directly so I could read it and more easily. And it is Kelly is angry that they released the info to the world before they were completely sure. That's her point. Fair enough.
Like Jeff said, though, they have to release this stuff, don't they?
Well, I forget, and I have to remember this. They have to say that somebody's on the COVID list, but they can't release the test results because of HIPAA.
There's
right?
a HIPAA, yeah.
Yeah. So, but they have to say, they say they're on the list, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have COVID. It means a couple things. So they said he's on the list, and that spun everything upside down for him. So I understand. Right. I understand where she feels.
It was not the Lions who said that he had a positive test. It was it Tom Pelissero? Was it Mike Garofalo? I don't remember who, and I don't want to accuse them of it in a negative way. But the information that he tested positive or had the false positive did not come from within the Lions organization either. It came from outside. He himself validated it. So
yeah. And
I don't know where you go with that.
And the thing is, a situation like the Staffords is a lot different than Amani Oruwariye, right? Where see that? Where you have a guy who isn't under as much of a microscope, right? It's like, oh, okay,
Right.
he's on the list and people move on. For them, it's all about the family, the new baby, but they've kind of put themselves out there. They're also in a position that's very, very high profile, right? So these things, and it's super, super impactful for the team. So these things do become a bigger impact on the family and everybody. And but I think the NFL policy is what it is, and the players signed up
They're
for that.
signed off on it.
Yeah.
They
So,
did.
and that often happens. You get in a contract and you think you got it taken care of right, and then when you start living by the letter of the law, you know you got a problem if you're living by the letter of a contract and pointing to the contract with somebody you're working with. That's always a bad time to be. The relationship's already in a bad spot, right? But if that's where they're at, boy, that's what they signed off on. So I get it. I get why she's frustrated. I get why she's angry. I don't know that. You can point it at the NFL. I think it's just the nature of where they're at, and I feel bad for her and the family that they went through that. But I think this is just, it is what it is at this point.
One quick point here: you can figure out pretty easily who has it in a couple of weeks if they're still not on the field. You can figure out who had a positive test, because if you tested negative and were just quarantined with someone, your quarantine, I believe it's 10 days in the NFL policy. If Galladay or Arwarye or Jalen Elliott or whoever else, Sepos, whatever his name is, isn't back then, probably a good indication that they did, in fact, test positive on their own. Just a little nugget to plant there.
I got a really quick, just everyone, I've talked about being able to have access and see the games and all that. I just want to say a quick shout out to Nicholas. I don't want to give his name or anything, because he hasn't released me to do that. But thank you so much for helping me out. I have everything I need to watch the Lions this year, so really, really appreciate that. And fixing up a guy who's not in the market and with a awesome solution. So you, sir, are the man. Tip of the hat to you. Anything else, guys? I think that kind of runs through our list.
Yeah, I'm spent.
Oh no, there's one more thing.
I shot my wad.
I'm glad you were wearing pants. One last thing. Fantasy football. Biggest fundraiser of the year. As Case said, he is, or as Riz said, he is betting his house that there will be playing on September 10th. So watch for him either to be homeless and without pants, or we're playing some football and fantasy football's on. Fantasy.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Join up. There's ways to win big money.
It's not my house, so.
A third of everyone who plays will win. A third of everyone plays will get prizes. So it's a pretty great deal. Again, it raises money for the podcast, helps us fund the servers and everything else that we use all year, as well as some of the travel and all the other stuff, Senior Bowl and all that kind of stuff. So please join up. We've got room. Reserve your spot and join us for some of the most fun and exciting fantasy football. I've got some really, really, you've seen the openers and some of the close and stuff on the show. We've got some great stuff to report, standings and results and all that this year in a really fun way as part of the show. So good stuff. Fantasy.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Sign up now. Reserve your spot and join us and have some fun. It's a good time. And Riz is playing. Are you playing, Riz? I forget if you said you were going to have a team this year or not.
I will be in, so you can brag to your friends that you beat somebody who's employed in football.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantasy, because I take the opposite strategy of most people. I get my quarterbacks first and second, and then I build off that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I was in a league. I literally was in a league where somebody took Eli Manning in the first round. 10 years ago?
No.
And it was.
I guarantee
he quit the league after that year because he got made fun of so bad.
I will be the last person to draft a running back in whatever league I'm in. I guarantee it.
Yep. I was in a dynasty league, and in like year 3, this is like an old dynasty league. In year 3, I had Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. Not that I needed them all, but now it was a denial strategy, right? I wasted a roster spot on an extra quarterback because I couldn't let any of them go. I couldn't let anybody have those points. So it worked well. I won a couple times, and I really tanked hard a couple other times. But whatever, it's fun. All right, fantasy.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Great. Don't forget about fanatics.DetroitLions.com when you want to get any of your gear, and Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. We love you all who do that and help us on the show. Thank you. All right, stick around. Don't do that. I gotta delete that. That's in there. It's like bad words. Okay. Remember, the show needs your involvement. Use the comments in the subreddit to give us your feedback. We appreciate all your feedback. It is a community show. You own it, so do some work. Come on. Let us know what you think. Use the subreddit. 5 stars otherwise. If you see those 5 stars in iTunes or whatever, just pop them up there and help us out. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get access to the Slack, the most intelligent Lions chat, bar none, on the internet. While the Lions Wire might have some of the greatest reporting on the internet for the Lions, their Facebook is terrible. It's cancer. Come, get aboard the Slack.
That's honest to God truth.
Get in the Slack. Have a good, calm, relaxing, wonderful conversation. And disagree without going and kicking the neighbor's dog afterwards, because it's responsible disagreement. It's
not
really...
every comment needs to start a race riot, people. Please.
It's really, really a great place. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. As little as $1 a month gets you access to the Slack, and we appreciate the support. Check us out on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast. On Twitter @DET Lions Podcast. Give us that follow. DET Lions Podcast is the very best place to see Case. Yeah.
Blowing my load. In my pants today.
God.
In my pants today.
I think I preferred the yearly man test.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, God.
We're a little off our game on the.
You're right there next to your cat box, too.
Yeah.
He's just talking about what he spent on that new laptop. I get it. Okay.
It clumps.
Back to that. We're getting
There's your joke for the day.
We're getting the whole show in a nutshell.
Are we getting demonetized for this shit? Am I too far off the reservation? I don't know.
I don't either. All right, give us a call on Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, or just Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast on Skype, or call us on Lions Line 929-33-LIONS. 929-335-4667. Also go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast so we can show up in your ears. Glide on in automatically. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, baby, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.